Hey YouTube, on top of Great League Remix, it is also the Ultra League. So I'm going to go over some teams for myself and other content creators in a minute. But what I want to point your attention to is the new number 3 Tapu Fini. So Tapu Fini, I don't even think was in the top 20 before. And it actually, you know, it is probably around like 15-ish before. Jumps to number 3 because of the new move Nature's Madness. So why does it jump so much? Well, we go down here, we look at the stat product here. You had before Moonblast, which was your move that you use. So you use Surf and you use Moonblast. But the problem was Water Gun at 3 energy per turn wasn't a super quick charging move, right? So the damage output and energy Water Gun Surf combo was great. But when you have a 60 energy move, yes, it was pretty nice. 2.2 damage, 132 damage, 2.2 damage per energy is nice. But with it being a little slower charging, just doesn't really have that same oomph. Put in Nature's Madness, which is 50 energy, 96 damage, 1.92, but also 100% chance of lowering your opponent's defense. And this is a huge upgrade for obviously the 2 reasons. The first is you now have a 10 less energy move. And again, when you're only getting 3 energy per turn, having 10 less energy is significant. You're not losing a ton. Well, 2.2 versus 1.92 is, I don't want to say nothing, but it's not like a huge downgrade, but the upgrade of a 100% chance of lowering your opponent's defense. And that is huge when you have a slower charging fast move, but a decent hitting damage per turn, 3.6 damage per turn on your Water Gun. So you're going to get to the Nature Madness faster. It's still going to chip, right? Almost 100 damage, 1.92 damage per energy. And your opponent's defense is going to be lowered. And now you get to hit them with the harder hitting Water Guns. So based on that, it was already sort of like 15 to 20 before. Having this new move has shaken it up. So I've got one at home. I think Home Slice is maybe the first one I'm looking at with it, because he put a team, he did like practice team with it to see how it looks. Otherwise, the teams look pretty almost the Pokemon look the exact same. There hasn't been any other shift in this meta that warrants talking about here. I mean, because it was on 2 weeks ago. So the only thing that has changed is Water Gun Nature's Madness. So this team that he tested it with was a basically double weak, like steel. So it's a steel ice in a sand slash, double weak to fighting with Gliscor and Tapu Fini as answers in the back for the fighters. So sort of ABB style team. You don't need to draw out anything, right? So it's not an ABB team. That it's a you're weak to fighting and fight, double weak to fighting and fire on the front, and you have answers to that in the back. But it's not one of those teams that you need to like get out of, because Gliscor and Tapu Fini both cover each other's weaknesses well, right? Tapu Fini is going to be weak to poison, and it's going to be weak to electric, and it's going to be weak to grass. And as the flyer ground, Gliscor is going to deal with all that. Gliscor is going to be weak to ice. Tapu Fini will deal with that, right? So you don't need to leave the lead, but it's one of those you have 2 answers in the back if you see a fire or fighter on the lead. Otherwise, ACS is just pretty strong in this meta. And then Tapu Fini, now number 3. This one I looked at from Zionic. It has Ho-Oh, Virizion, and Giratina. So this team, 2 things I noticed about this team. You don't need to use Ho-Oh, just use Talonflame. So Talonflame is probably even better than Ho-Oh in this meta, just because of its extra like bulk and stuff there. Double weak to ice in the back. So you do kind of need to draw out on ice. It's not the worst case scenario depending on the ice, because ice is also weak to fighting, and you have a double kick Sacred Sword, Virizion, and Shadow Claw. This is using Shadow Force. I don't love Shadow Force. I'd probably just run Shadow Claw. No, wait. Is it Shadow Claw? Dragon Claw, Shadow Sneak. Shadow Sneak is what it is. I'd run Shadow Sneak instead of Shadow Force. And again, you can get away with being double weak to ice because Virizion and they should be able to combo it. The only thing I noticed this team is double weak to Fairy in the back. So when you're double weak to Ice and Fairy, you kind of need to draw out one of them. Giratina is still one of the best safe swaps in this meta, so try to draw out that. And then Talonflame will deal with the Ice or the Fairy, and then your Virizion should be able to roam free. And Purple Kyogre put out this team in 2 videos back to back because he's just been running with it, and he hit Legend already. So Zygarde, Feraligatr, Tentacruel, ABB weak to Electric. So Feraligatr is your safe swap. Try and draw out an Electric. You may draw out, there's not a ton of grass, but you may draw out a grass. Has Crunch instead of Ice Beam. And then Zygarde, I've got like four Zygarde cells, so I'm not anywhere close. But Zygarde, I've gone against it a couple times and is very, very bulky with a nice moveset, Dragon Tail, Crunch, Earthquake. So draw out something for Alligators or safe swap, and then Tentacruel roam free. Tentacruel can also draw out some stuff. It's interesting because it's not like a pure, yes, they're both weak to Electric. But Tentacruel being half poison neutralizes the grass and then also picks up like ground weakness and stuff. So it's not the exact same. But they're both good enough to be safe swaps. I think Feraligatr is probably the better safe swap in the Ultra League. And then we're going to go over just 6 teams that I showcased in my last top teams video a couple weeks ago. So that is Pidgeot, Registeel. I would go Poliwrath on this team. Double weak to Electric though. Actually, I would go I would go Annihilate. I have not built up Annihilate for Ultra League, but it is really, really, really strong. So I would go Annihilate instead of Poliwrath, or else you're double weak to Electric. There's not a lot of Electric in the Ultra League, so you can get away with it. But Pidgeot lead, Registeel, or Poliwrath, or Annihilate, depending which one you use, are both great safe swaps. So you can either Feather Dance and Brave Bird, or you can just kind of Brave Bird and Bail, or Feather Dance and stay in, or Pidgeot gives you a lot of flexibility on the lead, and then 2 good safe swaps. Speak about not a lot of Electric. One Electric Pokemon I love using in the Ultra League is Zapdos. So glassy, but man, does it hit so hard. Very, very spammy, hits super hard. So use that. It's going to have obviously ground weakness, just resisting a lot of like the Electric, and then like Giratina is going to be tough for that. So I put in Poliwrath to deal with like the ground steals types. And then I put in Licky to deal with Giratina, just doing Licks and Shadow Ball super effective and resisting the claws. This is very similar. And this is why I said use Talonflame, because this is like, I saw Zionix team. I'm like, this is very similar to a concept that I used. Talonflame for Alligator, and I use Ampharos, because Ampharos, again, I think Electric are probably underrepresented in this meta, right? For the amount of flyers like Talonflame, and for Alligator the water, and Poliwrath. Ampharos gives you the flexibility of having Brutal Swing to hit super effective against Giratina, so you're not completely walled as an Electric there. Geez, I use Feraligatr a lot, eh? Well, it is. I don't have it up still. When you go to PV Poke, let me just pause here. You can organize by safe swaps as well, right? You have the overall rankings, and then you can go by switches. In the Ultra League, the number 1 switch with the score of 100 is Shadow Feraligatr. And it truly is just that strong. And number 2 is non-Shadow Feraligatr, and number 3 is Shadow Poliwrath, right? So when you see Poliwrath and Feraligatr on a bunch of my teams, it's because they truly do act as great safe swaps. Feraligatr just with the claw, so spammy, hard-hitting move, and now Hydro Cannon is a beast of a charge move, and then Ice Beam has nice coverage. Poliwrath, same sort of thing, right? Counter's an amazing fast move. Icy Wind, nice coverage move, and then Scald, a hard-hitting water move, right? So, and then your normal Giratina's on there, and now Tapu Fini has risen to number 8 as a safe swap. Actually, number 6 if you take out the doubles, because Feraligator's on here twice, and Poliwrath is on here twice. So, Tapu Fini, number 8/number 6 as a safe swap. So there's certain Pokemon that just really, really work on teams where you can just run a balanced core. And that's the thing with this one. Like, Machamp is weak to flying, which is why I originally started with Ninetales. But then I'm like, I know how strong Pidgeot is, so I put Pidgeot in. But so when you see a lot of Feraligatr and Poliwrath safe swaps, that's the reason why. As opposed to a team like this, where it is, this one, it's putting a lot of different Pokemon together, but it's risky. So I would actually switch the order. I would go Galvantula or Greninja. I'd go Galvantula first, and then Skeledirge has to be your safe swap, because Galvantula can get killed as a safe swap, and Greninja can get killed as a safe swap. So I would actually move Galvantula to the safe swap, sorry, to the lead, be able to like lunge and stuff like that, and then Greninja and Skeledirge in the back. A little off the board picks, and then what was Home Slice? Great minds, I guess, right? Look at this. Ace lead, Ace lead. Glizzcore in the back. Glizzcore in the back. Tentacruel, Tapu Fini. I did not even actually plan this, which is actually hilarious. I'm like, this looks familiar. But again, it's very, very similar. It's easy to run teams like this because the concept is so safe. Just you're weak to fighting in the front, 2 answers to fight in the back, 2 answers in the back that basically cover each other's weaknesses. So that's kind of funny. There's only so many Pokemon in the meta that are going to be usable. There's only so many team concepts that you can put together. And if you're going to be using certain Pokemon, you have to cover those weaknesses, and there's only a certain amount of Pokemon to cover those weaknesses. So it's not surprising that you get these very, very similar, almost exact same teams. So yeah, this is one I put out weeks ago, like many weeks ago now, maybe even like a month plus now. And Home Slice uses basically the exact same team using Tapu Fini. Maybe he got inspiration from my team, but he probably does not need it, right? It's a very simple concept of how to cover Pokemon with a balanced team and meta, right? So it's kind of funny. Anyways, that's it. If you want to check out Great League Remix teams, check out this morning video. 20 Pokemon banned. A lot of meta Pokemon banned, some not banned. Gligar's not banned. Annihilate isn't banned. Whiscash is banned, but like Quagsire and Swampert aren't banned, so you can easily sub those in. So there's some non-banned Pokemon that you'll normally see in the open that you will also see in the remix, but a lot of the other Pokemon like Whiscash and Skarmory and a lot of those Pokemon are banned. So it will change up the meta a little bit. So yeah, that is it. I will probably focus on Great League Remix just because there's a lot of things I want to try in that meta. So I will do that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.